chairperson of the Electoral Commission says she has been confronted with a plethora of critical issues to deal with since her inception or since her appointment. She touched on ROPAL, the EC's relationship with IPAC, and streamlining audit reports of political parties. Jean Mensah made this known when she and her team paid a courtesy call on the multimedia group.
The ROPA, I know that there's been a lot of discussion around it, but when we came, we had the report before us, and it was a report that had been prepared, I believe, some 7-8 years prior to our coming in. And we felt that things had changed, and therefore it was important to go back to our stakeholders, the people of Ghana. And so we engaged in some stakeholder consultations, seeking their views on how ROPA could be implemented. Not when, but how it could be implemented. And looking at some examples that, the citizens had to share. Of course, we've also been working closely with the IPAC, the political parties. We've tried since we came to institutionalize IPAC. What we agreed when we came in was to have regular dialogue and to also provide, well put out minutes to guide our processes so that we could track, our decision making and so on. It hasn't been too stable, but we're working towards it. And I believe these are things that we can talk about. But with the political parties as well, we've tried to streamline the activities of the parties and ensure that they are conforming with the law. I think these are issues that have haunted the Commission in the sense that we have 24 political parties on our register, but you hardly find them, adhering to basic, expectations within the law. So we are looking at audits, for instance. What we try to do is to get quite a number of them to provide their audit reports. I'm not saying that they are in the best formats, but they've tried. I think day in, day out, we see that people are bringing in their reports and so on. And I think we realize that not most of the parties don't, the formats in which they present the reports, they are not, you cannot compare them to best international standards. So we are working to develop a CI within to regulate the activities, a CI that will provide a basic template to political parties to follow, and therefore you can really track funding and they can account for their funds. So you find, for instance, the parties' audit reports of 2017, they have a closing balance, but when you come to the opening balance, it's completely different. So it's not a follow-through, and it's something that we're working with the parties to develop and build on.
The EC chair also touched on a number of administrative loopholes that require urgent attention, which she felt were ignored by the previous administration.
One of the key challenges is the institution that we find ourselves in. We realize that, over the years, a lot of effort has been spent on building the electoral aspect, the operations, the election side of the institution. And you find that it has been to the detriment of the institution itself. And therefore, we've come to find an institution that, is not built on systems. So you do not have administrative systems, you don't have governance systems, nor do you have financial policies and processes. So it's really, unfortunately, a free-for-all sort of institution. And so since taking up office, we are trying to streamline and strengthen and tighten the wheels. So introducing some administrative policies. In the first month or two, on a daily basis, we were developing 10, 15 policies a day, just blocking and preventing the leakages and the abuses within the system. So that's what we've tried to do, from administration through to procurement, financing, in all aspects.
You're watching News Desk with me, Bernice Abubedulan. So coming up in business, government begins work to offload shares in some state institutions onto the Ghana Stock Exchange. Do stay for details.